We're halfway through the year, which means it's time for the Mid-Year Freakout Tag. Now, I love watching other people do these, so I'm so excited to do my own this year. And I'm having a pretty good reading year. I've read 50 books so far, but more importantly, I've found some new favourite authors and some new favourite books. But I've also suffered through some books that have made me just genuinely angry to be literate. So I'm going to share these with you. I've added a couple of questions to the tag just to make it, you know, a little spicier. So stick around to the end if you want to see what my worst reads of the year were and my most overhyped reads. I'll add in some timestamps so that you can skip to the questions that you want to see. I'm going to start off with some stats first because I love a good statistic. So I'm going to have a look at my story graph data. So I'm just going to pull it up on my laptop, which is just here, and go through that first. Realising that I should have got this page up before I started recording. Okay, so I have read 50 books this year and 16,312 pages. That seems quite high. If I keep on at this rate, basically I'll end up reading 100 by the end. And my goal is to read 50 a year, so I've already hit my goal. And I try to focus more on like the quality and the enjoyment rather than just any numbers anyway. Okay, page count wise, only 12% of the books I've read have been 500 pages plus so far. 47% have been under 300 and 41% have been between 300 and 500. Ooh, genres is kind of surprising. I wouldn't expect to see, I was expecting fantasy at the top, not romance, but then it kind of makes sense because I think a story graph, it puts books into multiple categories. So if I hover over these, yeah, it's showing that whilst I have got 15, I've read 15 romances and 14 fantasies, that some of those books in them are the same. Basically, they don't have a romantasy category, so it's going to put all of those into both. And then after that is historical, which is also surprising, but then I have read some Regency romances this year, and then I've read 12 literary fictions and 8 classics and 7 dystopians. I just did a dystopian reading blog actually, so if I remember I'll link that here. Here? I don't know, somewhere. Okay, my most read authors are Olivia Atwater and Kazuo Ishiguro, and they are 2 authors I found this year and I've just been binging their books. And then after that is, oh actually no, they're all equal, sorry, they're on 4, and then after that Emily Henry and Oscar Wilde are also on 4. Oscar Wilde is another one of my favourite authors. And then I've read 3 Sarah J Maas books because I was finishing the Throne of Glass series. And then there's a non-fiction author there. And then Taylor Jenkins Reid. My star ratings. Ooh, I'm a pretty mean reviewer. My average rating is only 3.37. Now, it does allow quarter and half stars on Storygraph. So I do often give like 3.5, 3.75, 4.5, you know, etc. I think the problem is I have read a couple of 1.5 star books this year, which has really knocked down my rating, but I've also found some 5 stars and I've got quite a few 5, 4.5, 4.75, so there's some really good ones in there, but there's also some just very average ones in the middle. And I do have to, for me to give a 5, I have to be like, this is a new favourite, I love it, I'm going to drop everything for it. You know, it's hard for a book to get a 5 from me, but I also don't give 1s that much either, so if it was a 1, it was bad. And then my best reading month in terms of how much I read was May, but it was also one of my lower months rating wise. So I read 18 books, but my average rating was like 3 stars. And I think that's because a couple of those 1.5 star books that I just talked about fell into this month, unfortunately. So it really pulled down my average rating. But I also found some brilliant books that month. Okay, so we're going to go on to the Freakout Tag questions now. So question 1 is, what's the best book that you've read this year? And I'm torn between a couple here. I'm also going to try and not include books in multiple categories. So I'm going to say A Pale View of Hills by Kazuo Ishiguro. Absolutely loved this, and it's a really short read as well. So if you want something short but impactful, definitely try this. It's very haunting and kind of unsettling, but in the best way. There is like a kind of twist in this, but it's kind of subtle, and you don't normally see a subtle twist, and I absolutely loved this, and I couldn't put it down. Like, I read this in one sitting. I did a full review on this, which is basically just like 21 minutes of me just gushing about how much I love this book, with both spoiler section and spoiler free section. So if you want to watch that, I will link it there. I'm saying I'm going to link all this stuff, like I actually have no idea how to do that yet, but I'll figure out. Another best book for me would be Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I absolutely love this one. By the end, I was just in tears. Like, I was sobbing. Like, honestly, I wasn't just welling up a bit. Like, I was properly crying. This is my favourite Emily Henry book, alongside another one that's going to come up in a bit. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I really liked the dual stories. I was really worried it was going to be too much like Evelyn Hugo. I absolutely loved that book. And there are similarities, I suppose, but it's done very differently. And I liked our love interest in it. The whole thing. I liked the whole thing. So yeah. Favourite books of the year. Question 2 is, what's the best sequel you've read so far? Okay, I've read a few sequels this year, and I can't decide between 2 of them. So the first one is 10,000 Stitches by Olivia Atwater. I just absolutely loved this. Now, the first book is Half a Soul, and this was absolutely brilliant too. Now, these are like historical fantasy romances, which I just love. They're like Regency period, and they are so good. They are so heartwarming, and the writing it's like a little hug in a book, and I just loved them. And I loved this one, but then when I read this one, I loved this even more. And yeah, I just recommend these definitely for like cozy comfort reads, but not as in there's no plot. Like, there's definitely a good plot in here, and there's strong character development too. These have really got everything, so yeah, recommend these. Another sequel that I read and loved this year is The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King by Carissa Broadbent. I really enjoyed Serpents in the Wing of Night, which is the first one in this series, but it wasn't a 5-star for me, but it was like a solid 4.25. I thought it was missing a little bit of character development, but this one has it. This one is, I think, better than the first. This was like a 4.75 for me. I really enjoyed it, and I'm so excited to continue on with the rest of the series. I'm definitely going to be doing a vlog, actually, where I read the whole of this series. So that'll be up at some point. I just realised that I completely forgot to tell you what this is about. It's hard with sequels because you can't really go into too much detail, but it's set in a dark world where vampires, they think of humans as only food, and our protagonist is a human, but she lives amongst vampires, and in the first book she has to enter this competition where she ends up competing against them, and it's like a Hunger Games style tournament, so it's pretty intense. Okay, so the next question is a new release that you want to read but haven't read yet. So I've got a few. I want to read My Friends by Frederick Backman, Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry, I want to say. Yeah, I think that's right. And then The River Has Roots by Amal Al-Motar. Sorry if I've said that wrong. I really loved This Is How You Lose the Time War. So I've got high hopes for that one. And I also want to read The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillick. And I still haven't got round to M.L. Wang's book, and they're not new now. You know, Blood Over Brighthaven and The Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wang. They're not new out, I just haven't got round to them yet, but I definitely intend to. Question 4 is your most anticipated releases for the second half of the year. So I've got a couple. Now, I was just talking about the Crown of Myaxia series, and there's another book in that. The 4th book of that is coming out this year, I believe in August, so I'm excited for that. I haven't read book 3 yet, but I'm going to read it soon, and then I'm going to want to go straight on to book 4. And then coming out next month is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. She is the author of the Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, and I just love that. It was such a cozy read, but again, it was a cozy read with a plot, because I find that even though I do like cozy reads, cozy fantasies, I can't have no plot, just vibes. I can't do it. I need there to be a plot. I need there to be a reason that I'm going to keep reading. So yeah, I'm excited for these ones. Question 5 is your biggest disappointment of the year so far. I've got a couple here. The first one that's come to mind is I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman. And this is such a good premise. This is about a group of women who are in a underground bunker guarded by men around the clock. They have no idea why they're there or how they got there. And yeah, it sounded really interesting. And it started off quite thought-provoking with some really interesting questions. And then it just kind of went nowhere. Like, we spent most of the book just, I would say, meandering around. I think that this was like ambiguity done badly. I can think of a lot of books where ambiguity is done really well, and this one, it just felt like it was ambiguous because the author had wanted to write this, but she couldn't actually explain why anything was happening. Like, I don't need everything to be perfectly wrapped up, but I do want there to be some form of emotional payoff, some form of satisfaction to the ending. And instead, this book, it was you know what, it was kind of like a bad lover. Like, it left me like unsatisfied and I guess I've started this metaphor now, so and frustrated. And then coming in as the joint biggest disappointment of the year so far for me was unfortunately The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. And I was so excited for this one. Like, a pirate adventure where the protagonist is a middle-aged mother. Yes, yes please. It sounded so unique, and it's great to see a protagonist that is in their 40s rather than like an 18-year-old chosen one. You know, it makes a nice change. And I did like her characterisation. Like, I liked Amina. She was interesting, but then it also, in parts, it felt very YA, which it's not a problem. Like, I'm not hating on YA, but we were promised a nuanced and mature lead, and we've got this mature 40-something-year-old woman with a teenage daughter, and parts of it was written like a lot younger. And don't get me wrong, this isn't a bad book at all. Like, I still gave this 3 stars. Like, I liked it. It's just that I was expecting it to be a 5-star read, so perhaps I went in with my expectations a little bit too high. But I would say the pacing was so slow. For the first like couple of 100 pages, like, we're just still gathering our crew. Like, it was so slow. It did speed up after around the 45% mark. But oh yeah, it was just kind of a slog. And the magic system wasn't for me either. Like, I'm okay with the soft magic system, but this one was like so soft that it should have come with like a weighted blanket, some scented candles, some whale music. Like, it could just be resolved. Like, it could just resolve anything. Like, anything that went wrong, you knew it would be fine because there was this really soft magic system and they could just fix it. And I have a really good example, which I can't give you because it's a spoiler, but yeah, unfortunately, overall, yeah, disappointed. I will say though that I can see why people enjoy this one, and if you are looking for something that's a little bit surreal and like a fun piratey adventure, and you don't mind if it gets a little bit too surreal in places, because I don't know, I found places that went kind of silly, but if you don't mind that and you like surrealness, you might really like this. It's also got a lot of charm and a lot of wit, so there are definitely reasons that I can see why people like it. Okay, question 6 is most overhyped book, and I have added this one in. And I've added this one in purely so I can put this book in. Because this one is so overhyped, and that is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. Where to start with this book? You know what, it's really annoying because the first 10% was actually really good. She sets up this great world, and I actually thought, oh, this is going to be really good. Like, it's a really interesting world. I was pretty interested in our character and like her relationship with her brother and how she was interacting with the guards. It had a really great setup. And then, after creating this brilliant world, Callie just rips us out of it and puts us into a bog standard fairy story, like generic romantasy 101. Now she's been taken, she's in fairy, and then what happens for the next 200 pages is absolutely nothing. Nothing happens. We spent like 200 pages just doing nothing, and like there's some scenes with like who we know is going to be the love interest, and oh god, I hate that guy. Okay, Kingfisher, yeah, I see you. No. Like, he would say stuff and I would be just looking at the page like, oh dear god, what a terrible day to have eyes. Like, why is he saying these things? I'm sorry, this is not, I'm not trying to turn this into a rant, and I can't see why people like this, because like I say, it was really fun in places and I really wanted to like it. Like, I didn't go into this book wanting to be a hater of it. I wanted to be in with the hype, you know, but no. I will say, maybe the second half is brilliant, but unfortunately I had to DNF it at 50% because there was a particular chapter, I'm pretty sure it was chapter 18, it could have been 19, I think it was 18. They were having a meal, and I'm not going to give spoilers here, but I will say that the way that Kingfisher spoke to our main female character, and in front of people as well, like, he just completely humiliated it. Like, that was it for me. He said like the most heinous things to her, and there was no redemption for him. Like, that's it, he's done, bye. An honourable mention in this overhyped category is also The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I didn't hate this at all. It was absolutely fine. I just, again, I think I'd seen so much hype around it and I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to love it, but it was just okay. It was fine. And the love triangle in it, I mean, it was just so obvious who she was going to pick. And yet we had to go through the whole saga of acting as though we didn't know which one of them she was going for. And look, love triangles aren't really my thing anyway. So yeah, overall, it was fun in places. I can definitely see why people like it, but it just, yeah, that wasn't for me. Question 7 is the biggest surprise of the year so far. And a book just popped into my head immediately for this one, because I read a book recently that I thought I would hate. I really did. Like, I thought I would hate it. I'd seen people whose reviews I trust, who I normally agree with a lot of their opinions on other books, say that they thought this was just a really bad book. So I put off reading it. And then I pulled a prompt in my TBR jar, which basically said to choose a popular book that you think that you'll hate. So I did. I chose People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I love this book, and that really surprised me. I didn't expect to like it. I'd seen a couple of people describe the main character Poppy as like a manic pixie dream girl and saying that the couple didn't go well together, and I completely disagree. Like, I loved the couple on this. I loved their relationship. Yeah, I thought this was a really sweet read, and I cried in it. Okay, Emily Henry made me cry again. And maybe I do have a little bit of bias because I was friends with my husband first before we started dating, and there's even a scene in this where he basically carries her down a mountain, and it just brought me back to me and my husband when we were going out. We climbed Snowdon together. I twisted my ankle. I know, proper damsel in distress. Oh. But I twisted my ankle and he carried me down literally the entirety of Mount Snowdon. And it was generally that moment where I was like, I think I'm going to marry this guy. So maybe there's also just some personal bias because I kind of related to their story. But yeah, I just love this, and I was so surprised that I loved this. Okay, question 8 is the most shocking book you've read this year, and I added this one in because I wanted to talk about The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. It could have been in one of my best books of the year, but I put it here because it's definitely the most shocking. As in, I actually recorded my reaction to this in the dystopian blog, and this was so shocking, and it's so surreal, and I don't normally like surreal books, but this is brilliant. So this is a dystopian book, and it's set in a world where people just lose their memories of things, and they can be small innocuous things, they can be bigger things, and they basically get bigger as the book goes on. And there are memory police who track people down who do still remember the things, or who try and keep the things that they're supposed to have forgotten. Most people, they just forget, but there are some people who don't forget but have to pretend like they forget. It's so good. It's very Kafkaesque, so I'd say if you like Kafka, you might really like this. It's so haunting, it's so atmospheric. Yeah, it's just shocking. It just proper blew my mind at the end, so read this. Okay, question 9 is favourite new author. There are 2 that I'm going to say here. So one is Kazuo Ishiguro, who I have just been binging his books this year, and the other is Olivia Atwater. I've also read 4 of her books this year. Yeah, absolutely love both of them. Olivia Atwater's are like a lot of fantasy romance, but historical fantasy romance, which I absolutely love, and cozy but still a great plot. And then Kazuo Ishiguro writes in different genres. I'm going to say literary fiction, but he's written dystopians, he's written historical fiction, and they are just so reflective, and his books are just brilliant. Question 10 is newest fictional crush. This one's a little bit beyond my comprehension because this doesn't really happen to me. I mean, honestly, the crush thing, it's never even happened to me much in real life, let alone book characters, so I don't think I have any fictional crushes from this year. I think the only fictional crush I might have ever had is probably Rhysand in A Court of Mist and Fury, which feels like a very stereotypical answer, but it's just the truth. Yeah, so I don't have any fictional crushes, so I'm just going to move on from this one. Question 11 is your newest favourite character, and do I have to pick a human? No, I don't. I can pick anyone. It doesn't say human. Right, so I'm going to pick Klara from Klara and the Sun, who is an AF, which stands for an artificial friend. So she's basically like an AI robot. And Klara and the Sun is by Kazuo Ishiguro. And we follow Klara, who, yeah, she's an AF, and basically she starts off in a shop and she is waiting to be selected, because the AFs live with teenagers and their families, and they're basically there to provide support to the teenagers and make sure that they're not lonely. And basically we follow Klara when she joins her new family, and we follow her observations of humans, and it's very thought-provoking. And yeah, I just loved Klara. She's very naive, but you know what, she's kind of more human than like a lot of humans, if you want to look at something like empathy as being a human quality. She's a very compassionate AI AF. And I loved seeing her perspective, and I just want to protect her, like protect Klara at all costs. Okay, like I love her. Would also give an honourable mention to Sidra from The River Enchanted. She was such a strong woman, such a strong mother, and yeah, so she gets an honourable mention too. Question 12 is a book that made you cry. Oh, there have been a few books that have made me cry, okay? So Sunrise on the Reaping by Susanne Collins, that made me cry at the end. I mean, and just the nostalgia of reading this book. This is the prequel to the Hunger Games, and we follow Haymitch's story. And yeah, the ending got me. And again, this is on my dystopian blog, so you can check out my full review there. I won't go into it anymore here. Another book that made me cry is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which I ended up really enjoying at the end, but it was a bit of a slow start. We follow Joan, who is training to be an astronaut, and she starts her training pretty much as soon as women are allowed to become astronauts, and there's a beautiful sapphic romance in this that is just so beautifully done. So yeah, while it had a slow start for me, by the end, I was in tears. And this is one that I've done a full review on, so if I remember to link it, I will. Question 13 is a book that made you happy. And for this one, I have to say 10,000 Stitches again. And I'm trying not to repeat these, but I can't help it. It's 10,000 Stitches. This book made me so happy. It's such a fun time. It's so heartwarming, and I loved this. So I'm going to have to say this one again. I would also add in Earl Crush, just because I thought it was a fun time. It wasn't one of my best reads of the year, but it was a fun time. It made me smile. It made me giggle a bit. Question 14 is the most beautiful book you've bought or received this year. Oh, okay. There's a couple I could go for here. Now, I haven't bought loads of new books this year, but I have bought a few, and the most recent one is this gorgeous copy of The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. By Anne Bronte, sorry. This is one of my favourite books. This is absolutely brilliant. Like, if you're looking for a really engaging Victorian classic, this is the one. I think Anne Bronte is the most underrated Bronte sister, and yeah, love this. This is basically about Helen, who is a woman who moves into town by herself, and everyone is kind of judging her, you know, she's very mysterious, they don't really get why she's there. It follows Helen's story, basically, and this is considered a very feminist book, and it really is. When you think of the time that this was written in, I'm sure that this would have been seen as very, very out there, very feminist. But yeah, just this is, look at this copy. I have bought another couple of very nice looking books this year as well. One of them is The Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady by Edith Holden, and this is just so beautiful. Edith Holden only lived like, I don't know, about 30 to 40 minutes from where I live, and it's just stunning. Like, there's journal entries and the artwork, and I love learning about the Edwardian and Victorian time periods. So yeah, this is a beautiful book. I think I could have also said any of the Crown of Nyaxia ones, because these are also just, you know, they're just so nice, and underneath the dust jackets, all of these are stunning. Question 15 is, what books do you want to read by the end of the year? I mean, so many. Like, my TBR, it's absolutely huge, like, honestly, and it just gets bigger every day. I think I must add like about 5 new books to it every day. So there's so many I want to read, and I'm not sure exactly which ones I'll get to, but I have some that I want to prioritise. So I definitely want to prioritise reading the ML Wong books. I still haven't read Babel by R.F. Kuang, even though I do have a physical copy of it, and I love dark academia, so I really need to read that. I want to read There Are Rivers in the Sky by Elif. Sorry, I can't remember her surname. It'll be here. There's a ton of new fantasy and romantasy books that I want to read, as well as some of older ones. I mean, I've also got the entire of the Stormlight archive by Brandon Sanderson. I've read The Way of Kings and really enjoyed that, so I want to read more of those. There was another fantasy book called The Songs of Legends Lost, which I'm really hoping to read soon. So there's so many. Oh, you know, another one. Another sequel that I read. Oh, this could have been on my best sequels as well. I read Jade War this year, and that was brilliant. It was I would say it was a little bit slower than the first one in places, to be fair, so maybe that's why I didn't think of it for the best sequel. I absolutely loved Jade City. I loved Jade War as well, but probably not quite as much, but I'm really looking forward to reading Jade Legacy, so I'm definitely reading that this year as well. The final question is one that I added in myself, and that is the worst books you read this year. And there is 2 that come to mind. So the first one, unfortunately, is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I just hated that book. The premise of this book is great. So it's about they used to be a couple. There's 2 people who used to be a couple, and they end up on the same holiday vacation together, and they're with all their friends. So basically, to avoid making it awkward, they just do the fake dating thing. They pretend that they're still together, pretend that they haven't broken up. The thing is that these people, Harriet and Wynne, they were supposed to have been together for 8 years. Like, we are supposed to believe that they were together for 8 years. And yet, I don't believe that they were together for 8 months, 8 weeks, 8 days. Like, they cannot communicate. And no, the miscommunication trope for me is, well, I hate it, and I've seen it done well a couple of times ever. I guess if you don't mind the miscommunication trope, I think you would have to not mind it to enjoy this book. Another one that I did not like and unfortunately only gave 1.5 stars to was Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore. This is a Regency romance where our protagonist, you know, eventually falls in love with the Duke. I feel like that's kind of obvious going into it. The thing is, I hated the Duke, okay? Like I was really hoping that there was going to be a big twist in this, and the twist would be that he is not the love interest. I wanted a different one, okay? Any other dude. I didn't like this dude at all. I thought that there was a lot of moments that just pulled me out of the Regency setting, because there was some things, some modernisations in there. There were things that just wouldn't have happened, that wouldn't have been said, and it just took me out of it. But the main thing that annoyed me about this book is that it was marketed as a feminist book, and it was not a feminist book. To say why this isn't a feminist book, I need to give a mild spoiler, so I'll put where to skip to if you don't want to hear this spoiler. There is a scene in this book where our Duke, our love interest, reflects on how he could take the heroine if he wanted to. He could, you know, abduct her, pull her into his room, have his way with her, and he considers it for a moment, you know, and he thinks that he won't do that because he's a really good guy. And I think that we're meant to like him because he's met the bare minimum criteria of not abducting and essaying someone. Like, is that the standard now for love interests? That they're just not predators? Like, he's thinking, well, other men would do this. Yeah. And then, as if that wasn't enough, he is like, well, you know, why don't you just be my mistress? I mean, the romance, the pure romance. That was the main reason that it got massively downrated for me, which was a shame because it started off kind of promising and it started off kind of fun. I would definitely recommend Earl Crush by Alexandra Vasti over this one for a fun Regency romance. Okay, we've reached the end of the questions, so I hope you enjoyed this, and I would love to hear what you've been reading, what are your best and worst books of the year. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I mean, let me know if, like, you absolutely loved one of the books that I've hated, and let me know if you hated one of the books that I loved, because, like, I love seeing different opinions on things, and I'm never offended. Like, I'm saying I'm never offended if someone hates a book I love, and then I'm thinking, is that true? I don't know, I might have to do one of those videos where, you know, where you react to like the 1-star reviews and see. But no, I do love hearing different opinions, so yeah, let me know what your best and worst reads are. And thank you so much for watching. Please stick around, hit the like button if you liked the video, and subscribe for more bookish content. I'll see you soon, bye! Okay, so we're going to go on to the TBH? No. The Ashes and the Starkers. Question 12. Question 12. My mouth's in the wrong place.